On our broadcast tonight, customs officers could be on the verge of taking a strike vote. We have the latest.
Also ahead, the Commissioner of Police vows to take action on a jailhouse wedding.
And in sports, champions hit the road. The Bahamas Tonight starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Keisha Latterly.
And I'm Andrew Knowles. Thanks for joining us.
Well, topping the news tonight, the issue of education reform was highlighted during the first day of the 25th intersessional meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM, that is, in St. Vincent today.
The Caribbean Examination Council made a presentation on education and the systemic failure of education in the region, which prompted Prime Minister Perry Christie to question whether the regional education system was fully relevant to countries such as the Bahamas.
Why is it that I'm looking to Finland, I'm looking to Canada, I'm looking to the United States of America, as opposed to looking to the region? Where are the experts in the region who will come with a relevant message, relevant instructions, right? A new paradigm for countries in the region. The other point I made to them was that as we look at education, there's a question of equity, that every child deserves an opportunity to participate in the equity or the resources of their own country.
But the CARICOM Forum pushed back, saying that perhaps the Bahamas isn't taking full advantage of what the region has to offer. The Prime Minister said he noted the point and that perhaps it merited further discussion.
Well, also today, Prime Minister Christie and other Caribbean leaders focused on key issues to advance the region.
Tonight, Julian Reed tells us that the opening ceremony of the two-day conference, CARICOM reform, gun control, and economic advancements were highlighted.
CARICOM indeed has had its successes and failures over the past 40-plus years as the move to regional integration continues. Incoming CARICOM chairman, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, says that those failures have caused critics to express their disillusionment about the regional body. But Dr. Gonsalves maintains that in order to achieve the optimal implementation of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, three things are key.
We must first love and care for CARICOM. Secondly, we must ensure that the organs of the community work as intended and that its decisions are implemented in each nation state of the community. And thirdly, that the political leaders and populations in each nation state possess the requisite political will for CARICOM's optimal functioning as structured.
Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who is the outgoing CARICOM chairperson, said crime and security continue to be of critical concern to the region. She highlighted a UN treaty designed to enhance gun control.
The Arms Trade Treaty provides us with a significant component in the global fight against the trade of conventional arms but in illicit markets. To date, 116 states have signed the Arms Trade Treaty, including all CARICOM members except, I believe, Haiti. 11 states have ratified the treaty, thereby expressing their consent to be legally bound by its provisions. They are Iceland, Guyana, Antigua and Barbuda, Nigeria, Costa Rica, Mexico, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, Panama, and Norway. However, for this treaty to come into force, Article 22 requires the signatures and early ratification by 50 signatory states, so that the treaty can come into force with minimum delay.
Meantime, CARICOM Secretary General Erwin LaRocque said that priority has to be given to fiscal sustainability. In that regard, he focused on information and communication technologies.
With respect to ICT, it is both an enabler of socioeconomic development as well as a sector in its own right for creating employment. This sector in both its forms must be viewed as the new frontier for regional integration and has to be a significant factor as we forge a path towards growth and sustainable development, as well as in our efforts to strengthen that spirit of community.
Some of the challenges include CSME and the free movement of peoples. Those two issues are receiving renewed focus here, but the Bahamas still shies away from them. In addition to safety, economic issues, and climate change that are priorities for the Bahamas, is the situation in the Turks and Caicos Islands. At Buckerman Bay Resort, St. Vincent, I'm Julian Reed for ZNS Network News.
Customs and immigration officers could be considering strike action, but their Vice President Sloan Smith says it's a last resort if the government doesn't finally resolve a laundry list of concerns that date back years with their union.
We have today, wrote the Honourable Minister D. Shane Gibson, Minister of Labour, to in fact request that his office supervise a strike poll for us. This is pursuant to a strike trade dispute that was filed sometime last year on the 23rd of October 2013. In that dispute, there were 3 items: medical coverage for the non-uniformed staff in Customs and Immigration, 2, the coverage for utilities for persons on transfer out of New Providence or wherever their home base is to places otherwise, and transportation allowance for persons who have to go to places of work other than their office.
Now, Labor Minister Shane Gibson says he believes the request for a strike certificate is the union's response to a judge's ruling Friday that overtime is discretionary, contrary to the union's submission that overtime should be converted to wages. Mr. Gibson, who is out of the country attending CARICOM talks, told ZNS News the union has already been told that requests for salary increases can't be honored given the state of the economy. Meantime, Minister Gibson says the government has already placed the Defense Force on standby should the force be needed to man customs and immigration posts.
A group of lawyers have taken legal action against a prominent government official in what they say is a stand for justice. The attorneys held a press conference on the steps of the Magistrates Court today to explain why they believe the lawsuit is necessary. Fern Carey tells us more.
The removal of stenographers from the Magistrate Court is not sitting well with some attorneys, and they have now taken their fight to court. Spokesman Attorney Mura DeSeal says they filed a lawsuit against the Attorney General after meeting with her and other relevant authorities.
Ourselves, we have already filed a constitutional motion, and we'll take it from there.
And with most of the appeals coming from the Magistrate Court, these lawyers say court stenographers are very important to ensure that every person gets a fair trial.
The real issue is the interest of all of us, because if they do it now, the question is how far are they going to go if we don't stand up for something. So we all have to stand up. Today it's the stenographers being taken out. Tomorrow, what is it going to be?
Would be in the advantage of swift justice to have those stenographers replaced, brought back into the Magistrate Court.
Now, plans are already underway to have digital recorders in the Magistrate Court by September. The transcripts will be reportedly sent abroad, transcribed, and returned the next day. However, attorney Glendon Roll believes it is a step in the wrong direction.
It is a violation, basically, of one's constitutional rights. It's actually with our dialect, our culture. Law in itself is culture and should be respected as such.
Lawyers can request a stenographer in certain cases. However, DeSeal claims requests have been made without success. Fern Carey, ZNS Network News.
ZNS News spoke with Attorney General Allison Maynard Gibson tonight on the pending lawsuit. The AG declined to comment on the case while the matter is before the court. However, she did have this to say about why the move was made to station court reporters at the Supreme Court.
The system is broken. There are inordinate adjournments and delays, which at the end of the day create injustice. And I want to say and assure the public that my team and I are not afraid to work for accused and victims to fix the system so that matters may routinely be brought onto trial within a reasonable period of time.
On the issue of foreigners transcribing testimony and the danger of important information being lost in translation, Maynard Gibson says that the vetting process is still ongoing.
We are at the moment seeking proposals for digital recording, and as I assured the bar already, that they will be a part of the entire process that we consider. And we're hoping to get this process in place by September.
She went on to point out that the Office of the Attorney General and the Ministry of Legal Affairs plays no role in granting attorney requests for court reporters in the lower courts. It's a process that is entirely in the hands of the Chief Justice, and according to the Attorney General, she has no reason to question his judgment.
Well, coming up, one I do ends up becoming I won't. We'll explain coming up.
And snakes on parade. Rattlers celebrate their Hugh Campbell win. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight.
News is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.